Okay, we're waiting for IG to show up. Mm. All right, IG. All right. I believe that we are live because I just saw my pop up over here. So yay. And we're going to do a double check to make sure that we are also live on the Facebook webs to make sure that we're everywhere at all at the same time. And it's going to be epic. And I'm excited about it. Are you excited about it? All right. So we're here. We're everywhere. Yes. So excited. Well, welcome everyone to our special edition of My Story Monday. In the month of March, I've been on this sort of crusade of just being able to share and highlight the stories of the incredible women who were once former teen mothers and to be able to show their story of where they are today because we walk and we're amongst all of these amazing women and we think that we know their stories, we think we know where they've been, we see a glimpse of where they are today, and we sometimes say to ourselves, wow, she's so amazing, she's so incredible, she must have it so easy, like everything just comes so naturally to her, like she's so strong, she's so bold, she's so resilient, and they don't necessarily know the story behind that of why you're so strong, why you're so bold, why you're so fearless. And so I just want to bring some light to this sort of taboo subject of teen pregnancy. Many of you guys know that I have shared my own personal story of being a young mom. I had my daughter Autumn, who is now, let me do the math, 23. She's now 23. I had her when I was 17 years old. And there was so much shame, there was so much struggle, there was so much heartache there. And I didn't necessarily have someone to come alongside me and say, hey, Cherise, I believe in you. Hey, Cherise, you can do this. And a lot of the things that I went through was unnecessary. At least I thought it was at the time. But looking back, I realized that those were the things that was just making me stronger. It was equipping me for, creating this amazing organization called SheRises, which our mission and vision is to reach, inspire, strengthen, and empower young mothers in our communities. And we're currently working in the Washington, D.C. metro region, and we've been around for 5 years now. But looking back, I'm like, wow, that's what it was there for. So I just want to just take a moment to just think back and like, wow, I've done a lot, but there's still more rising to do. And it's always my deepest heart desire to help the next young woman rise, but not only the next young woman rise, to look across the table at my fellow sister and say, hey, you've got some rising to do. And part of that is, you know, getting uncomfortable and getting vulnerable and sharing your story. So we put together this series called My Story Monday. And in that, we're just highlighting these stories. So I have an amazing guest today, and her name is Earth Holman, and she has an incredible story. She's doing some amazing things. And so I'm going to take a moment and let her introduce herself. Hi, Earth. How are you today?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much. Your organization is amazing. Everything you're doing is amazing. I'm so happy for you. I also wish that there was someone like you around when I was a teen mom. So, yep, my name is Earth-Shameenah. Everybody calls me either Earth or Shameenah. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I was a teen mom, but we have thrive through that. Teen mom twice, actually. So 14 and 17. So I was pregnant at 14, pregnant at 17. Um, and yeah, I've emerged successfully. I've had some childhood traumas before becoming a teen mom. So I think some of those things led to what was happening. But yes, I am now a nurse practitioner. So I've graduated with a master's degree despite all the odds and obstacles, right? Um, I have 4 children now. So, those 2 boys that I had as a teenager, they're grown men now. And now I have 2 teen daughters. So things are going well, but I have a coaching program also. So I'm working with young women and teenagers with, just helping them to overcome negative belief systems, young girls who have gone through childhood trauma, who are teen moms, who are pregnant and teenagers, and then also young women who are just having struggles with relationships and just overcoming themselves, right? To let them know they don't have to be stuck where they are. So yeah, I'm also working with young women. So this is amazing. It's amazing to be here.
Thank you. So let's just go back. Remember how I said this is just going to be just like a little conversation? We're just talking about, let's go way back when. Tell us about you discovering that you were pregnant. Like, what was that experience like for you? Was it like the Scarlet Letter? What was that experience like for you?
Yes. So I think I was pretty naive to, what was happening. I remember just my first time having sex, and I remember girls at school would say, "Oh, I'm going to Planned Parenthood. I got to get checked." So I just thought that that was the thing to do. Just go get checked because now I'm doing this, right? So I went to Planned Parenthood to get checked. And they called me back and said they needed to talk to me about something that they found. And I was horrified. I didn't know what to think. So I took my mom with me, So my mom, I guess I'll take her with me just in case. And they brought me to the back, small room, and they said, "You are pregnant." And I was 14 at the time. "You're pregnant." And I just sat there. I was like, "How?" Like, not how. I know how. I know how. But how, that fast? Like, what happened? It's just one time. And they just told me, "You're pregnant." And I sat there. I didn't know what to do. Felt lost in the moment because I already knew that I had a mom who wasn't very hands-on
Mhm.
and or involved in my life. I just took her with me because I needed someone. Like, who else was going to go? And it was easy because what was she going to do? She didn't really do much anyway. And I brought her in the room when they asked me, "Who can I tell if I had support?" And I was like, "Okay, just tell my mom." And there was no emotion. There was just nothing. It was just like, "Oh, she cried thinking what were people going to think of her?"
Mhm.
Right? So I felt even more alone. Like, what is this? No conversation about what to expect in pregnancy or anything. So that's how I found out that I was scared.
Wow. So you said something pretty powerful that even from the beginning, you didn't have a support system. So tell me about your thoughts on what you plan to do. Like, I'm going to have this baby now because I've gotten checked. So I'm going to put that hashtag get checked. Get checked, everyone, because you never know. But what was your support system like after that of discovering what's going to be the path that I'm going to take?
So I always say God knew that I was going to need my grandmother, right? So I've always had a support in my grandmother. That's just wasn't the person I decided to take with me because I'm like, well, here I am, 14, having sex. I'm not going to take my grandmother. I don't want to disappoint her, right? Because I didn't think pregnancy was going to come out of this visit. They had to tell me something, but it wasn't pregnancy. That was like furthest from my mind. So because I didn't have any conversations, I called my grandmother and I told her what was happening. I remember my grandmother telling me, my grandmother was a teen mom too.
What?
And I was like, well, she will understand, So she certainly did. She was very disappointed in me, but she supported me the whole way through. I wound up moving in with her, maybe towards the end of my pregnancy, but she really was the one that kind of walked me through, like, make sure you go do this, make sure you do that, you know. But again, just my own mom, it was, where are the conversations? Like, what am I supposed to do here? I'm going to keep this baby because I guess I'm supposed to, right? I have to. Um, I also had that thought of, I'm not going to get rid of a life because it wasn't the baby's fault. That was my thinking. Um, but yeah, so I decided I was going to keep the baby and just go.
You're just uncovering so many things where I see there's so much overlap in our stories. You said that your grandmother was a teen mom. By any chance, was your mom a teen mom?
My mom was not a teen mom.
Interesting. My mother was a teen mom. I was a teen mom, and I actually tracked it in our family, and there is a linkage there. Uh,
Wow.
there's like this, I guess, generational curse per se of looking down this thread of, wow, I can see this trend of this is what's happening in our family, but also realizing that once I stood up, that's where it stopped.
Oh, yes.
So
Yes.
the chain, if the curse has been broken, it's been broken. So just praising God for that and believing God for that for your girls as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. Even, my sons, I think about it with them too, right? So we talk about teen moms, but I think about it with my sons. I say that it stops with me. It stopped with me, just realizing what was happening. So my mom wasn't a teen mom, but she was 20 when she had me. Again, she didn't have the support though either. And she had been through some childhood trauma as well. But I remember even with my sons and then my daughters turning teenagers, every year that would tick by, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God. Right? This is not their story. My story isn't their story, but they look at me and they're like, "Mom, like we saw, right? We saw you, and if you can do it with all of us, we can do it by ourselves." So they feed off of it, but I just constantly, it's a constant prayer. It's a constant um, spirit of gratefulness, just because I'm like, my children have realized, and it stops with us.
Absolutely. Praise break for that. So let
Yes.
me ask you this. So you decided to keep the baby.
Yes.
What was your experience like in school?
Whew. So I went to a one of the biggest high schools in Brooklyn, and it was very violent. Lots of like gun violence and fights and things like that. So I went on a journey to find out, are there schools that have young moms? And I found one school in Brooklyn that serviced young pregnant teens, and I enrolled myself in the school. And they accepted me, but then they came back and they said, where's your mother? Someone has to sign you in.
And the mother.
But it was like, by any means necessary, right? So I went on this journey of also trying to become emancipated, because there were so many things I was gonna need, right? And it's like my mom wasn't there to sign. I need to get it done now, right? So yeah, so I wound up going to a school that was all teen moms, girls that were either pregnant or had babies already. And it was okay, because now everybody, we all related to each other, right? It was a support system. The teachers were very supportive, the staff, we had a daycare in there. So yeah, I think it was easier in that sense.
What was the high school? I'm over in the IG comments and you've got a lot of traction over there. Someone asked, what was the name of the high school?
The original high school or the one for teen moms?
The one for teen moms.
It was called P932K.
What in the world? That sounds like a spaceship.
We didn't really have a name. It was just called P932K. It was in East New York. And everybody would just say, "Oh, you go to that young mother school. You go to that young mother school." So
How did
yeah,
that make you feel?
when people say that,
Yeah.
it was, yeah, I go to a young mother's school, but I felt good about it because, in a way, I felt good about it. Like there's something there for me. So that was the only thing that I could find. But then you would have sometimes where it was like embarrassing, right? I remember we would go on trips, field trips, and here we are, all these little girls pregnant, and we're like on the trains together. So you had some embarrassing times because it's like, how are people looking at us, right? All these bellies, we're 13, 14. We had a 12-year-old there one time. But yeah, so you had some embarrassing times, and people are going to judge, but you learn to get through it. You build
Yeah.
up a tough
So,
skin.
so Doriel says she went to Erasmus Hall High School.
I went to Erasmus.
Erasmus. There you go.
So that was the school I went to when I found out I was pregnant. Erasmus Hall. Yes. That.
Imagine that. Imagine that. So that school was the only school in your region that provided that service.
At the time, so they did wind up opening up another school downtown, which I eventually transferred to after I had my second son. So I had two.
Okay.
Mhm.
So were you able to successfully complete your high schooling on time through that program?
I did. I did. I started there. I went to the second one that they opened. It was a little bit bigger. It was closer to where I was living at the time. And then I moved to another school that also had a daycare in it. So they weren't for teen moms, but they had a daycare in it. So it was good, but yes, I wound up graduating on time.
Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations.
Thank
That is
you.
no,
Thank you.
it's hard enough just trying to graduate high school, just with high school being high school, with
Oh
all
yeah.
the foolery that's going on there.
Oh yeah.
Have a baby on your hip, and for you to
Yes.
absolutely incredible. And I applaud you for that because it's
Thank
so,
you.
so hard of trying to stay up with your studies, trying to do all that, and then also try to have somewhat of a social life because that's important too. So let me ask you this. What motivated you or inspired you to help overcome some of those challenges of just staying focused and staying committed to just completing your high school education?
Those boys, I looked at them and I thought about myself and everything that I had gone through, and I would constantly look at them and just think they deserve more, right? They don't deserve um, I just wanted to give them more than just 14-year-old me or 15-year-old and 17-year-old me at the time. So I would just constantly look at them and say, okay, well, I'm going to go to work. I started working. I was working part-time jobs, two part-time jobs at one point and in high school. So, yeah, they were like just that driving force for me to just keep on going. And then also I wanted more for myself. I had dreams, to become, first I was like, I was going to be a lawyer, but, I realized that I had a passion for healthcare, right? So in order to do that, I'm going to have to finish high school, right? And then they need a mom that's making money. Like I need to make money. So um
Yes.
yeah, so it was like it was always something to just reach for, and I wanted it for me, I wanted it for them. So, yeah.
Okay. I love that. Like you are like my new favorite person.
Oh, thank you.
Favorite person. Like you inspire me. Yeah, I feel like the baby in my belly is just like leaping. I get so excited.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So tell us about a moment where you just really felt that all hope was lost. Like you're in it, you're working, you're going to school, you're trying to raise these kids, and then life is just life. And tell us about a difficult moment and how you overcame that moment. And tell us exactly what you did because not just the
Well,
but tell us the secret sauce. How did she do it?
oh gosh, no secret sauce. I think it's in you, and the Bible says, "Greater is He that's in us than he that's in the world." Right? So you just have to kind of dig deep and use everything that you've been through to just strengthen you for the next. The biggest challenge for me was when I was still in high school. I think my last year or second to last year in high school, and I said, I cannot live with my mother anymore. I was going back and forth between my mother and my grandmother. So I decided that I would go into a shelter system so that way I can get housing for my sons and I. And we would go to this like huge place where it would be hundreds of people just waiting to get placed every day. And I would go in the mornings or the nights, and then I would wait all day or all night to get placed, and then I would get up and I would go to school again, and then from there go back to the placement and try to get placed, and they would keep denying me. They would deny me and say, well, you can live with this person or you can live with that person, not realizing, well, I have two kids here, right? I can't live with them. And these people have their own children and families, right? So they kept denying me. I was alone again with two boys trying to work and go to school. And I decided that I was just going to pull every resource and a person that I had and just get everybody to babysit. And I wound up just going and applying at the age of 17 for my first apartment. I applied for a one bedroom apartment. Someone gave me a chance at 17. And it was very low times because I was working at a supermarket, right? I really couldn't afford it. I was stressed, depressed, like anxious. Like, how am I going to pay this? How am I going to finish school? How am I going to study? Who's going to help me? Like, then my boys, I felt like I wasn't spending enough time with them because I was always pulled to go and work so that way I can afford what we had. But it just seemed like everything was just falling apart at that time for us. But yeah, yeah. I just decided like this is what I had to do. They needed a place, right? So you sacrifice yourself so you can give them something else.
Okay. I don't know if anyone else in the comments is getting kind of emotional or worked up right now, but while that wasn't necessary, well, it was somewhat a little bit of my story where I was staying on different friends' sofa. Like me and my mom, we had a falling out. We had a very strained relationship. We still have that very strained relationship. And the person that was supposed to protect me was not protecting me and taking care of me. Um, and just feeling that sense of hopelessness and that there's no help out there. There's no one coming to rescue me. And just feeling like, is this all there is to life? Just heartache and disappointment, and there's just nothing there. And just also seeing that still happening in some of the lives of these young moms that I get to serve, and feeling like the system has failed them.
Oh yeah. Yes. They definitely do. They're not looking at, you know, not most times. They're not looking at what we need, right? And then a lot of things that we face are the reasons why we we push so hard. So I remember one time when I was in the shelter waiting for placement, and I wrote this in the book. They placed me in an apartment building that they had for certain units for shelter. And I walked in there with my babies, and I think the one was probably about 6 months old, and my oldest son, he was two, and it was roach infested. They were roaches everywhere, crawling everywhere. And they said, "Oh, we have to put bombs down." So then we had to go outside for 3 hours and wait before we can go back in. And then when we went back in, you can just see like that the bombs didn't work, but it was okay enough that we needed to get sleep. I found myself in the hospital the very next day. This is when I found out I have allergy to roaches. I just talk about it freely now, but here I am in high school I have to get up in the morning to go to school, and I'm in school and I could barely sit down because that night I had kept my sons in one space where they would be protected, and I slept on the pull-out sofa. And I was in school and I could barely sit because my legs had gotten bit up so bad.
Roaches bite?
Yes.
Who knew?
Who knew? I didn't know either until that day.
That's he.
Yeah. And I ended up in the hospital that next day with infection. My legs, they had to cut open to drain. Yeah, antibiotics, everything. And it was like, we don't deserve this. Where are they going to place us next? They would place us in all different types of places. And I said, no, this is not going to do it. I'm going to have to sacrifice something. And that's what I did. And that's why I just went and said, I'm just going to pay the money. So 17 years old, paying $1,050 in rent, working a part-time job, extra hours, and going to high school. Yeah,
No help.
no help. No help. I would get denied. I kept getting denied for public assistance. I would get denied for food stamps. I got denied for everything. And I said, I think it was to strengthen me and prepare me for what was coming. I couldn't rely on anybody or anything. I had no housing assistance, nothing. I was just working to pay it.
So I think about how we have a girl in our program, and I'm not going to say her name here, but she knows who she is. I'm always talking about how much I love her. And she's 15 now, and I met her last year when she was 14. She had already had her baby, and we were talking about a lesson. We were doing a lesson in the program about financial literacy, and I was talking to the girls about making sure that they really capitalize, not necessarily capitalize, but they get the benefits that they're entitled to or whatnot.
Yes.
And when we did our breakout session, our one-on-one session, I was going down the list like, hey, have you applied for this? Have you applied for that? And she told me, she says, well, I can't get cash assistance. I can't get food stamps. And I said, why not? And she said, well, because I'm under 18. And I did not know that if you're under the age of 18, the assumption is that your parent, your guardian, has applied for those benefits on your behalf and things like that. But she was not living with her parents, and
Mhm.
so she was not getting those benefits. And she has to go to um, She has to go to like the food banks and things during the weekend just to get food. And I
Wow.
said that it breaks my heart that this kid is absolutely incredible. I need you to meet her because she wants to be a nurse. I need to introduce you to her.
Yes, please send me her information.
She is absolutely incredible. She's brilliant. And I like the system is failing her. She shouldn't have to do all of these extra things just to feed her baby and to take care of herself because someone's not taking care of her.
Yes.
It breaks my heart. And I see her in the chat over here on Instagram. And so I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you
Yes.
because your story, you are the reason why I do what I do because someone needs to know about your story. They need to know about the things that you're dealing with. You're not something to be ashamed of. You're not someone to be like considered less than. You deserve so much more.
Yes.
We're failing you. Our system is failing you. But it's going to get better. They
Oh, it
didn't
is.
they
It
didn't know
is.
there's a SheRises Holden and there's a Earth out there who
Yeah.
are fight for change. And so just it breaks my heart. It really
That's where I was saying, about getting emancipated. So I had to go through all these channels to figure out because I was applying for public assistance and things like that too. But I found out that because I wasn't 18, I didn't qualify for these things. However, I found organizations like what you're doing now, right? But Covenant House, they really walked me through steps and helped me to get emancipated, right? Help me to get all the legal documents and find pro bono people to help me with that. So once I became emancipated, then I was able to apply for other things on my own. So I don't know the laws everywhere, but yeah, that might be a resource. But definitely send me her information. I would like to put so
thank
into
you.
her life.
Because
I think we're frozen. Okay, looks like we're waiting for Miss Cherise to come back in.
Earth, are you there? Are you there, Earth? We're still here. We
Yes,
had,
I'm
we
here.
had some technical difficulties.
I,
Not
s- I swear, I think we're waiting. It's okay.
today. Not today. Not today. Not today. We are still here. We are still here.
Awesome. Awesome.
It's okay. We're still here. Let's make sure we're still over here. It is okay. Maybe we needed a brief pause for our audience to get all caught up, and it's going to be fine. So let's make sure we're still over yonder. We're still over yonder. Okay, so we're still over here. And if someone can tell me if we're still on IG, it's okay. We're going to troubleshoot a little bit, make sure that it's all working. I don't know if we're still working here. Yes, we're back. Boop,
All
boop,
right, we got to
boop,
see.
boop, boop, clap it up. Boop,
Liar.
boop, boop,
You
boop,
go.
All right, we're back. We're back. We're back, guys. Okay, so we were talking. Jesus fix it. We were talking about just connecting you with some of the moms and things like that. So we're going
Absolutely.
to move to the happy part of our story. All right, so we heard about the bad. Tell us about the good. Tell us about something like an accomplishment or a milestone that you are most proud of.
Oh man. I have four beautiful children. Four beautiful children. But I think we get caught up in that, our children, but I want young moms to know, remember yourself too, right? So I really pride myself in my accomplishments. I was able to graduate high school on time. Your story might not be on time, right? You may graduate a couple months late, but don't give up. You can still do it. So I was able to graduate high school. I became a registered nurse, so I continued to push through and go to school. So I've been a registered nurse, and now my master's degree in nursing. So yeah, I'm a nurse practitioner now. I see my own patient panels, and that is just big to me because 24 years ago, I would have never thought that here I would be sitting here saying like, "Oh, look at me now." Right? You always saw the daunting things and how am I going to even study for a high school social studies test, right? But I was able to finish a master's program, 4.0 GPA, and that was for me. That was for me. So, yeah.
I love that so much. So, what advice would you give to other young mothers who may be facing similar situations right now, knowing that I feel like I would say one of the beautiful things or one of the benefits that we had is that when we went through our walk, our journey, it was not it was in the open, but it wasn't in the open. Now with social media, everybody knows your business.
Yes.
Um, and everyone's quick to share everything.
Mhm.
Um, and everyone's quick to comment. And so whereas in the past for us, maybe it was like
Yeah.
now it's commenting and it's there for everyone to see. What would be some advice that you would give to a young mother who's experiencing this, whose story is your story?
I would say you're going to get through it. You can get through it, right? You are strong, you're smart, you're capable, right? You're capable of carrying and raising this baby. Um, a teen mom doesn't mean that your baby will not have, right? It doesn't mean that your baby doesn't have a chance because a lot of times you hear that. I've seen it on social media where people are saying, oh, she's having a baby. Oh, what's going to happen with this baby, right? So that's stigma. So your baby still has a fighting chance. You have a chance. You can finish school. You can achieve each and everything that you want to do. Continue to seek out resources. Advocate for yourself. Speak up. Look for organizations like this. We're here. We're out here. We're looking for you. So, do your research. But you're not alone. There's so many people that are going through it. They just might not be talking about it. People can't talk about their story, right? You don't know where they come from. Maybe it's just taboo in their families, but even telling your story might encourage others, right? And then once you hear them talking, it kind of gives you hope too to continue to fight and move on. So I would just say it doesn't end here. It doesn't end where you are, right? There's glory on the other side of your story, right? There's glory in that story. So continue until you get to that glory.
Yeah, I always say where you are now is not where you will stay.
Yes.
And I so believe that so much that if I could look back and tell 17-year-old Sharice something, it would be where you are today is not where you'll stay. The hopelessness, the feeling of unwantedness, because that's a thing too. Who's going to want me?
Oh
You
yeah.
know, now my body all jacked up. Let's talk about it. Who's going to want me?
Yes. Right.
Want me? Who's going to want to be friends with me?
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to be friends with the teenage mom
Mm-hmm.
and
Who's
feeling
taking you
that
serious?
loneliness. But there's hope, there's help, and there's a whole community out there waiting to love on you.
Yes, absolutely. You're enough. You're enough. We think who's gonna take us seriously? Oh, she had a baby at that age. What are we doing now? But that's your past, right? That's what you've been through. You're not what you've been through. You're gonna make it.
I
You create the story.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, I got two more questions for you, and then we're gonna bring it on home because it's
Okay.
bedtime. Because Sharice ready to put on her PJs and go to sleep. Um, and it's like a two-part question.
Okay.
In what ways do you feel that your story can inspire and empower other young mothers? This is where you tell us about your book.
Thank you. Thank you. So my story, because a lot of times we hear a teen mom and then people say, "Oh, I had a baby when I was, like your story, 17." But it's more than just, "Oh, I had a baby once." I've had a baby twice, right? And it doesn't mean it was harder for me or it was harder for you or less hard for you because you only had one baby, I had two. It doesn't mean that. So I think my story is empowering because it shows that in spite of everything, right? I've done it two times, you can still make it, right? I didn't stop. I didn't let what happened to me keep me there, right? Again, I'm coaching young women. So it's like, oh, I can use what I've been through. So what you're going through right now, I feel what I've gone through, it wasn't for me. It happened to me, right? But it was so that way I can talk to other young women who are going through it as well. So I'm inspiring them, I'm empowering them. Yes, I did just write a book. It just got released. It's called Unearthed. I actually have it sitting right here, but it's called Unearthed, right? Uncovering and rediscovering. So it's uncovering my story, uncovering my history, and it talks about how I went through these things, but then how I emerged, right? What I learned from it, what I'm learning from my children, what I'm teaching my children in the process, and then also what I've learned from myself. Right. So it goes through my whole life, the childhood trauma, the mother daughter relationships, the teen pregnancies, the divorce, everything. It goes through everything because one thing was a result of other things, right? So the book is very empowering. Trust me, when you read it, you will never be the same. It encourages you, like, wow, she went through this, so I can get through it too. There's reflection pages in there, so it allows you to just tap into yourself and see how you're feeling. How are you relating to the story? What can you pull out of yourself, right? Kind of also give you insight to say, who can I go to? Right. So you don't sit there and just allow yourself to be alone.
Absolutely. You guys, the book is called Unearthed. Well, can you hold up the book again? Hold it up again. Hold it up again.
Yes, on
And
earth.
where can they find this book, Miss Earth?
Yes, it's on my website, www.herearthtones.com. You just go on the website, you can visit the store, there's an events page. It talks about my coaching program, what I'm doing there. It's also available on Amazon. You will have to type in this long name of mine to pull me up, but probably much easier going on my website. Again, herearthtones.com. It's on It's available.
And SheRises will have some copies because we're going to make sure that we get a copy for all of our moms. So you didn't know that, but we want to make sure that we're blessing you as well because we
All right.
know the power of helping other people rise. So you got an order coming in. We're going to get those resources to our moms because it doesn't
Oh,
fit
thank
sitting
you.
on a dusty Amazon shelf. We want to make sure that that resource is in the hands of those who need it most. So that'll
Thank
be
you so
coming your
much.
way. But you guys can check that out. I put it in the chat on IG. I'll also post about it following today's live, so you can get all of that stuff. And so, closing remarks.
Yes.
Something that you want to add that we didn't get to talk about today? I know we talked about so many things, and then we have some technical errors, but that's okay because we're back. Is there like parting words, like something that you just gotta get out? You
Oh
got
my gosh. I just, my passion is empowering young women, right? Teen moms, all young women, just to know who you are, right? You are enough. It doesn't matter what you're going through, how you got here. Um, you're enough. You're more than enough, right? So just dig deep down inside of you. You deserve a great life, right? A great life full of hope, love, joy, respect, peace, right? And I always say respect because I think a lot of times we get to a point where we start to tolerate things because we feel that things won't get better, right? This is what I deserve because I did this to myself. But no, that is what you did. It may have been a mistake, but it's not a mistake. You will see what God has in store for you. He's going to work those things out for your good. Just keep on seeking, just keep walking. Again, use your resources, but you deserve a great life. Continue to go after that life, no matter what it takes. If you fall, get up and try again. I talk about it. I swing, you miss, you swing, you miss, but you keep on going. Practice doesn't make perfect, but it will expose your resilience. It will expose excellence in you, and you will come out feeling empowered. You will come out feeling enough.
wow. Everybody, give it up for Earth.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God, I was so happy to be here today.
Oh, but this turned out to be so absolutely incredible. And
Thank
I don't know about you guys, but that really inspired and empowered me just to see your resilience, because I know there were days where I just really want to throw in the towel, and heck, if I can be honest, there's some days right now where I still want to throw in the towel.
you.
But I have
Yes.
to remind myself, like, there are people counting on me to continue to pave the way, and like, we don't give up. We don't get up. There's still a lot of fight left. There's still a lot of rising to do. And so thank you so much for just, number one, uh, saying yes to this interview. We just met.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
We literally just met maybe like
A
four
couple
weeks
months ago, maybe.
ago, last month. And
Yeah.
then we never talked to each other until today. So thank you for just saying, let me see what this crazy woman's all about. Like, she said that she wants to interview me. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I love everything about it. It's great. Thank you.
So this was so good. I hope that you guys love this conversation and just share it, because sharing is caring, number one. But also during Women's History Month, it's so easy um, to think that we know a woman's story. We look at her and we say, wow, she's this, she's that. I'm not this, I'm not that. Or we see the things, the qualities in her that we don't like, that we're so easy to judge her for. And we just don't know her story. So I want to leave you with the thought of just being kinder to the next woman,
Yes.
because she's fighting real hard. She's fighting as hard. She's doing the best that she can. So today, tomorrow, and all throughout Women's History Month, and every day after that, for that matter,
Yes. Be
let's
there.
just be kind to one another. Let's just be kind. And if you see a woman that needs a hand up, help her up. There's room for all of us at the top. Like, I believe that with everything of my being. Like, there is room for all of us at the top.
Yes.
It's the bottom that's crowded,
Mm.
you know? So thank you so much, Earth, for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me. My pleasure.
We are back with another person that you guys are going to absolutely love. If you're not following us on all the social media things, because I know this is streaming on wherever it's streaming at, but be sure to follow us on social media. She Rises Inc. on Facebook, She Rises Nonprofit on Instagram. Earth, what is your digital zip code? Where can we find you? Because I'm sure they've fallen in love with you. They
Oh,
love you.
thank you. I
So
am in Texas, but I'm traveling. So, if I'm available for speaking engagements, to come in and share, discuss the book, topics in the book. That's the goal, to start to talk about, if we're going to talk about mother daughter, I'm going to Dallas at the end of April to have a brunch for mother and daughters. So I'm going to be traveling, talking to teens, teen pregnancy. But you can find me. My email is info@herearthtones.com. You can also find my website, www.herearthtones.com. I am on Instagram at Meenah, MEENAH _NP. And then on Facebook, Shameenah Holman. So what you see down here, but no earth in front of it. I got all the hats, but yes, so those are my handles there.
And if you can't find her, just reach out to me and I'll get you guys in contact. Okay. So
Yes.
that's what we have for tonight. Everybody go put on your pajamas, put your face cream on, put your Noxzema on, and we're going to go to sleep. We're going to call it a night. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.